This Icemaker was brought to our shop. The lady says it's not functional, so we're going to do a few little tests, see if we can find a fault with it. These are little Chinese ice makers. This one is sold under the Waterwell Pty Limited. It's just a label they put on, but these are all manufactured in China. They're very basic and very quick to find a fault. Spare parts might be a problem, but let's have a look and see what happens. So first we plug it onto mains power, and then you have your little green light coming on for a few seconds and switching off. That means there's power, and we just press the on button, and now this tray should rotate, which it's not doing. And if I listen, I can hear the little motor inside making a sound, but the tray is not rotating. So it looks like the motor is jammed or the tray is jammed. So let's unplug it and have a look and see if we can find the fault. Very simple to open up. It's got a few screws underneath. We undo the screws with a screwdriver and just keep them somewhere where we turn it, and we undo the screws all the way around and lift it up, and the whole back cover just clips off. Okay, the motor we're referring to is this little motor here. It's not quite visible. The top comes off. There's two little screws here and two on the other side. We just undo the screws and the cover comes off. Okay. Now we can have a look at this little motor here and just see, and it seems that everything looks okay, but the motor doesn't rotate. So we remove the motor. There's two little screws there and two screws in the top here that loosen the cover, and we can just raise this cover slightly, just bend it a bit enough to take the little motor out. Now this little motor's got a shaft that fits into the water tray. You just clip out and the little motor can come out like this. Now this is the little motor that rotates the tray. There's a lot of rust on the shaft here, but let's plug it in again and just see what happens. When you switch it on, green light illuminates for a few seconds. When it goes off, you press power, and this motor, the shaft should turn. Now I'm holding it, I can feel the vibration in the motor. The motor is not turning. So my guess is this little motor's got a problem. Now these machines are imported from China. There's no parts in the country, but we often scrap them and keep second-hand parts. So let's put another motor on and try it. The shaft is a bit long, it doesn't quite fit in there, so we're just going to chop a little piece off the shaft and then try again. We'll just clamp it in a vise, and with a metal hacksaw we just cut about a 3/16 of an inch off the end of it. The shafts, they look about the same length now, but cutting it with a hacksaw leaves a few dirty marks. So we just, on a belt sander, we'll just clean up the marks. Okay. And it should fit easier now. Let's give it a try. Now the motor fits, and we'll just put screws in that attaches the motor before we try it, which is little self-tapping screws, and we just screw them back into position. One on each side. this little frame that we loosened has two little self-tappings to hold that in position. The other one is still in the hole. Now this little motor is attached to our tray, and we're just going to make a temporary connection to connect the electrical connections, just to make sure that the tray rotates and does what it's supposed to do. Just join the two wires together. Just a temporary connection, because we might have to remove it again. Otherwise, normally we give the customer a quote as well, but we've changed the motor, and let's have a look. We plug it in and the green light lights up for a few seconds. Green light's off. Push the power button and the little tray should rotate. Okay, now it's in the position there. Now normally what will happen now is it will stand for about 20 seconds and the motor should rotate the tray back in the position, and then a little water pump must come on to pump the water in, but there's no water in, so the little red water light should come on in about 20 seconds or so when it discovers there's no water. Let's have a look. There we go, so it wants water. Okay, so let's give it some water. We unplug the machine. I'll fetch some water. We pour a little bit of water into the ice maker. Again. Green light illuminates. Goes off. We press the start button. Now the tray will go back into the back position. Stop there for 20 seconds. Then it should rotate back, and then a water pump should come on and pump some water out. The little spout is there, and this time there will be water, so the ice maker will be able to get water and carry on with the rest of its cycle. There the water comes. It's pumping water into the tray. Okay. What it does is it pumps it in bits and pieces. Okay, it still shows add water, so I'm just going to restart the machine again. It might be that the system had to bleed the water out first, so we just switch it off, let the microprocessor reset, switch it back on again, 4 seconds, green light, off, tray goes back, 20 seconds, tray comes forward and should take water. Okay, pump's better now. I think there was a bit of air in the pipe the first time, but it should fill the tray up, and nope. Okay. So obviously there is a second problem here. The machine indicates that there is no water even though there is water. So there must be a problem with the sensor that senses the water. So we'll have a look at the water sensor next. This is the water sensor. It's a little stainless steel plate that the water sprays onto this plate and it forms the electric current. So let's just remove this plate. It's attached with two little screws. Okay, well, we'll just take the one out for now. And then the other one is a long screw that I'll have to just get the right screwdriver for that. That screws into the water pipe itself. and as the water passes through the tube, the end of the screw that goes into the hose touches the water, and a little sensor in the front forms a electric current through the water to sense the water. So this screw, there's a lot of dirt at the end of the screw, so we'll just clean it with a pot scourer. Little pot scourer, we remove the calcium off the screw. This is a normal pot scourer for cleaning dishes with. We just rub it a bit. That looks a bit better. So we put our screw back in again. It's quite a long screw. It has to go right through the pipe and the water has to touch it. And exactly the same with this little front sensor, but it's dirty. We take a pot scourer and it forms a little layer of, looks like calcium on it from the water. It's the same that forms inside a kettle. We just clean it all off. I'm going to clean this. I've got a wire buff in the back. I'll just buff it up a bit. Okay. We've buffed it up. Now it's nice and shiny, and we just attaches it the same way we removed it. It just fits there, and then the little screw with the wire goes on it. So as the water passes through, first it will touch this screw, and then it's to spray onto this metal part and form the current. So let's try it, see what happens. Okay, switch it on, green light for 4 seconds, and now it's going to start with its cycle again. Okay, water is coming in, spraying on the sensor, and it carries on taking water. Cleaning the screw and that little stainless steel plate has cured the problem. Now it will take water on a timer, and the tray will overflow, but the water runs back into the tray again. Just make sure the water is full. Once the time expires, the little pump should stop and the compressor should start up, and it will refrigerate these tubes. Now I can hear the compressor has started up, so we just rotate it this way and have a look. The compressor is at the back here. This was the little water pump that pumped the water up, and the compressor will pump the gas into this little condenser. The gas will start heating up, and when it gets to a certain temperature, this little fan motor switch on by itself. This is a common thing that fails on these Icemakers, so we just let it run for about a minute, and that fan should start up, and we'll see if the fan works. The fan came on now, so the fan is working, and you can see the white here as it starts freezing. So the freon is being forced through this small little tube, which is the capillary, and it will freeze all the way along, making the ice cubes upside down in this little tray. And then once the ice cubes are formed, this little tray will rotate back. The water that's left in the tray will run back into its reservoir, and this system has a hot gas solenoid which will reverse the hot gas through this, which will loosen the cubes, and they will fall in to the bottom, and this little scoop here will scoop them out, and it repeats that cycle over and over. So now we've tested this little Icemaker, but I'll leave it running to make a few cubes of ice. But the problem was the little motor that rotates this tray, this motor was not working, and we had dirty sensors. And that's how we test these little ice makers. Okay, the ice maker made a few cubes. It didn't freeze all the way through. We're still testing it, so I'm going to run this on test for a few hours. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this top cover. This also helps it keep the moisture, the air out, and it's insulated, and it will make better size cubes. And we just see how it works, but I think the problem only the little motor and the water sensors, but we'll run it. If it works fine, we can tell the customer we replace the motor and clean the sensor, and that's it.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more videos, subscribe to our channel.